All right, we're going to do another email question here this week on the podcast with Charles Scott. We talk about financial choices, and of course, they matter, right? So it's
For
important
sure.
to kind of it's totally important to take these questions that other people have, and just kind of put them out there because it's probably happening to other folks. So I won't beat that up too much because I say that every time. But let's just jump in, Charles. We got Patrick who dropped one in,
Okay.
and he says, "I have two old 401ks that I've been meaning to roll over for a while. I also have a third 401k with my current employer. Should I roll the old ones into the current one or just create, an individual IRA instead with the old ones? It'd be nice to have all the, the accounts under one value," he says, to make it look bigger. But consolidation could be a good reason. But what's your thoughts on consolidating that?
Well, I'm going to comment on the make it look bigger, because if you add them both together, if they're in two different places, or right now they're in three different places, that you can still get the same total. So it doesn't matter.
It's just a visual thing, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I feel better because I can see a big number. Well, do the math and you'll still have the big number.
Well, he's a guy, right? So
that explains a bunch. Often, it's an interesting thing. If you're going to try to roll, you can take the two old 401ks and pretty easily roll them out into an IRA.
okay.
That's easy, very easy to do. We just did something a couple of weeks ago for a client who had a very big IRA, and he's still contributing to it. But we did what was called an in-service withdrawal, and we took it out because we wanted to do something. He wanted to do something completely different with it.
Gotcha.
Than he could inside the 401k that he had. It wasn't
And
a bad
if it's a traditional, Charles, you're paying those taxes now, obviously, by rolling that out, right? And
No.
of course, if this is an old, what's
If
that?
it rolls out of a 401k into an IRA, the taxes are still deferred.
Oh, that's right.
And if
Great
you're young
point.
enough and you don't have to worry about a required minimum distribution, then it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
So,
and so if Patrick is working, if he's younger than
Yeah.
59 and a half, and he does want to roll these two old ones, does he have to pay any
No.
kind of penalties or anything?
No, it should be really easy to do. He could consolidate them into one IRA for him. The other thing that happens when you try to take an old 401k and move it into a new 401k that you have is that they may not be compatible, because you've got different custodial platforms that they're sitting on, and it sometimes is not even worth trying to look at, because they're just not. It's not easy to do. It's really, really easy to do, to just roll it into an IRA, because
Gotcha.
that happens all day long. The one thing that I will comment on right now, because we're going to talk about it more going forward on these videos, is if you're talking to somebody, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here of the Department of Labor new rules for rolling a one-time event out of a retirement plan, but you need to be talking to somebody that has a securities license. You need to be talking to somebody that has an accredited, that's some kind of a fiduciary, because this is going to be a big, long video one of these days that you and I are going to do, Mark. That's
Okay.
a whole nother issue. It's got to be in the best interest of Patrick. It can't be in the best interest of the rep or anybody else. But in the context of this specific question, to me, it's a relatively simple answer, and that is just roll it into an IRA. And if you need to know how big it is all the time, call me and I'll combine both values for you, and then you'll know.
Well, Charles, is it really about control? Like, should that be the forefront question here? Because he's got a current 401k with his current job.
Yeah.
He's got these two old ones he's thinking about doing something with.
Yeah.
If he rolls them into the current job, it's the basket of limitation that they provide with that 401k.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah. You have this many choices, not an infinite number of choices, that if you roll it into an IRA, that are available to you. So you are very limited if they've got the most spectacular menu of choices in a 401k, which I've never seen.
So it's really about control, Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, if you want more control, then
And
it
options.
just makes more sense to roll it into the IRAs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's
And
it's really simple.
To Charles's point, if you want to see the big number, just type them both together and look at, on your calculator, and then make yourself smile.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I'm clever enough to know how much I really have. That's cool.
There you go. All right. Well, easy
You'd be
enough.
amazed how many people don't know what they've got.
Well, that's a great point, right? You've got to know what you've got, and you got to know why you have it. So thanks so much for checking it out. Again, if you guys need some help, as always, go to the website, PelletonCapital.com. That's PelletonCapital.com. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. Now we got stuff on YouTube. So check us out there on YouTube. But reach out to Charles and Sherry if you've got some questions, need some help. You should always check with a qualified professional to see how it's going to affect your situation. And again, you can find them online at PelletonCapital.com. Thanks for hanging out with Charles and I here on Financial Choices Matter, because they do.
Ready to learn more? Get a complimentary review of your retirement landscape today. Reach out to Charles and Sherry at Pelleton Capital. Don't wait and let time pass you by. Sit down and build a rock-solid strategy that keeps the focus on you and your family. Visit Pelleton Capital or click the link in the show description. And don't forget to subscribe to Financial Choices Matter on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Financial planning and investment advisory services are provided by Pelleton Capital Management Limited, a state-registered investment advisor. Past performance is not indicative of future results. No one should assume the information presented here serves as a receipt of or substitute for personalized individual advice provided by Pelleton Capital Management. For more information, visit www.pelletoncapital.com.